Denver Founders Network. This is the educational series. Our normal programming is every month we go deep with a really great local founder. But I helped run Denver Startup Week for many years, and there was an appetite for content outside of Startup Week to do that year round. So ultimately, we want to know what you all want to learn. So video was something that a lot of people talked about, and it's a hot topic. And we know it's not the most approachable of topics. It seems intimidating to create video. So we have a panel of experts from full production to LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live streaming. First and foremost, just want to thank our sponsors at Denver Founders Network. I almost said Denver Startup Week. So Hatton Point has been with us since the beginning. Hatton Point, they are a digital agency. They do really good work, so reach out to them if you need them. Elevated Third is another digital agency. They've been with us from the beginning as well. So when I say beginning, I mean 10 years now. There's a small company in town you might have heard of called SendGrid, Twilio. They're one of our sponsors. Bunker Labs also is a sponsor. If there's any vets or spouses of vets, they help you start your business and have a lot of resources. So come talk to me afterwards. There's a long black-haired guy, Chris Martinez. He used to run Bunker Labs. He'll be here in a minute. I think he's getting a beer. Who else? Want to thank Workability for hosting us here. I think that's all the sponsors. Oh, Alchemy Security. Joe's not here tonight. Joe Bonnell's a great guy. He's been a sponsor for a long time. Where do I need to be? I don't want to stand in front of you here. I'm good there. Okay. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our illustrious panel. Going this way, we have Don from JoyRec.
Hello. Yep. So JoyRec is a photo and video production company. It does high-end video. If you want a brand video done, if you have a product, you want it to look amazing. If you need a cast, storyboard, we pretty much do everything to make people look amazing. So that's what we do. That's JoyRec. Yep.
Hello, I'm Liz Georgie. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Suna, a fast casual content studio here in Denver. We make same-day affordable photo and video starting at $39 and $93. So come on down and see us at South Broadway.
Great. Hi, I'm Kyle Shannon. I'm the founder and CEO of Storyvine, and we're a guided video platform. We figured out a way to automate video production, and we allow our clients to do professionally produced but user-generated content at scale. So we live in a space dead between professional video and UGC.
My name's Danny Colella. I'm the founder and creator of Danny Colella Live. I'm a Facebook Live video marketing expert, coach, and consultant. I found a space where a lot of people want to do live video. They see the impact of live video, but they're scared shitless to do live video. And I help people get over the hump and create more affordable content for their brand so that they can stick out on social media and finally start to connect with their audience.
Hey everyone, I'm Gregarious Narain. I'm a serial entrepreneur, recent transplant to Denver. Been experimenting with different kinds of media for many generations. I've run 2 user-generated content platforms as well in the past, and happy to share some of our experiences well with you today.
Cool. So this was a very free-flow event. We modified the format 30 minutes ago or so. All good, but I wanted this to be highly interactive. So we can take questions throughout, or we'll spend a lot of time for questions after, because there's a lot of experience here, and there's a lot of different worldviews. So from really, really cheap, user-generated content to using this to create content. Video doesn't have to be intimidating, but there's a place for quality. There's a place for quantity of content also. So there's a lot of different worldviews here. But ultimately, I want this to be almost workshop-y, and we might do a breakaway workshop later, depending on the feedback here tonight. So, first question is, why video? Why video content? What does it matter? I guess you guys are stumped. Next question.
No.
Answer is no.
I guess long-form written content is the answer.
I mean, we all experience video where it's so impactful I've heard recently there's a couple different types of people. There's people who will read. There's people who will dig in and
Speak up.
oh, so sorry. Yeah.
Stand up. Speak up.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. There are some people that video, that's going to be the way that they're impacted. That's just the way it's going. Like they're visual people, and they need that impact from something that's so immediate and immersive. So, I mean, video is so important. I think the question is, how do we access it for our businesses and for our goals that we want?
Greg.
Who is it?
No, please go for it.
I would say like why video now, and I agree entirely. Like, I use this analogy of people have like different appetites for how they consume information. So not everybody likes to read things or listen to things. Some people like to see things, but I think like to what a lot of our friends here on the panel do, the cost of producing video has significantly become like more addressable. Like everyone's got something in their pocket that can make video at this point. And I think that has made it possible for us to use video for business purposes, combined with like fairly widely available sort of bandwidth. I think sort of makes a pretty big dent in sort of like this being viable as a way to communicate now. Text was good because it was efficient, right? Like easy to send over to pipe. Now video's gotten a lot easier to send over as well.
So I will just say that why video, you're neurologically hardwired to love storytelling. From the time you are a child, you will understand that storytelling is something that you are biologically attracted to, emotionally attracted to, mentally attracted to. And so I think that video truly has the capacity to do that for your brand. It helps you stick out. It helps you connect with humans on an emotional level and on a visceral level instead of just on a text-based look at my key messages level. And I think more than anything, it's just fun. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I spend a lot of time on my iPhone, in bed, in my pajamas, watching Instagram stories. And it's a lot of fun to be able to connect with brands, to be able to connect with your network, and to connect with things that you care about through that medium. So that's why video right now.
I think that we're in a fascinating time in history where, for the first time ever, we do have these devices in our hands, but we're probably 4 or 5 generations removed from, as a society, knowing how to do storytelling. So we've got these devices, and we often mistake, like a lot of times you'll see video and you're like, that's just horrible. And why it's horrible is because it's not storytelling, right? We mistake hitting the record button for storytelling. So what you end up with a lot is a lot of cat videos and kid videos and kick in the nuts videos. But if you actually want to get someone to talk about their experience with being diagnosed with cancer, how does that person tell and share that story? So we've been given these incredibly powerful tools, but we're kind of generations removed from, well, how do we actually tell stories with that? And video is incredibly complicated. It's codecs and bit rates, and is it 4K or 2K? If it's 4K, your computer probably can't even process it. Like, it's a mess. So 20 years from now, this will all be like, oh yeah, video is easy. But right now we're in this really interesting transition where we are as a society learning how to tell stories again, and video is the most powerful tool to do that, in my opinion.
4K, 8K, come on.
Exactly.
I'm a statistics guy. I like to look at statistics. And in this room of people, who would prefer to read a blog or website copy over watching a video? That's about right. So 82% of people prefer video over any type of blog or website copy. They literally browse your website. They literally look at your Facebook page. They're looking for you to show them a video about what you're about. Why? Because we're lazy. We just are. We're conditioned that way. We want people to just show us what they're going to do for us.
We're
and not
efficient.
We're efficient. I'm still going to say lazy. I'm lazy. I want somebody just to show me, click a button, and in a minute and a half, I want to get an idea of what you're all about. And when it comes to social media and live video is viewed 8 times longer, and it's 10 times more likely to be commented and interacted with. So those 2.36 billion people that are on social media, you have a much better chance at them actually engaging with you because they want to be talked to. They don't want to be sold to. And when you use live video to start talking to people about the problem they're experiencing, and then you have the solution, you create that trust and credibility that you can't do without video. You don't trust somebody or have credibility just because you have great website copy. When they see your mouth moving and they like you as a human being, you win. That's why I think video now.
So super easy softball question. How much does video cost?
How much you got?
Right? I mean, that's a leading question, but
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is the thing. We all, the question, is video important? Everyone knows the answer to that. Of course it is. How do we get it? That's the next, that's what this becomes now, is how do you do it yourself? Do you go out and buy a camera? Do you hire someone? Why would you hire someone? When you hire someone, what are you actually hiring? The landscape has changed so much. How do we make sense out of the world that we're living in? Because it's looking more and more wild and kind of crazy. Like, there's so many avenues. Which one do you do? Who wants to piggyback? That's about all I got on. I mean,
I'm gonna add something to that.
yeah.
I need a dollar amount.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm not going to offer one of those.
I mean
But-
a range at the end of the discussion.
But what I will say is, based on what Don said, I will say, as someone who just started a show on LinkedIn like maybe 3-4 months ago, you will do all of those things, right? It is like one of the most experimental things right now, especially live. I think like what Danny and I do, because there's a lot more moving parts, but even raw video is still very difficult and challenging. But you can start for free, for $0, like right now in your pocket, right? But what likely happens is like your perception of your own quality is probably what ultimately impacts how much you should spend, right? And I'll let, I think Liz has probably a good answer around this.
Sure, I can have an answer. I can have an answer. Well, okay, so let me ask this question. How many of you, at Suna, videos start at $93. I don't want to hold this. At Suna, videos start at $93. And really, that was my vision, because I come from a production background where the average budget on a given project was anywhere between $100,000 and $150,000. Oh, spilled wine on the dog, y'all.
Thanks for not calling that out. Subtle.
I mean,
Can we get that on video?
that should be on video.
She's licking it.
I just want to make sure that that we get some tissue for this poor dog. So it's just simply not sustainable, right, for most brands to go out and spend even $10,000 on a single video. So here's a question I would ask all of you. How many of you are comfortable putting yourselves on camera, on Instagram stories, on Facebook Live? Are any of you comfortable with this? Oh, good. Some of you are comfortable with this. Guess what? That is the place to start. That is the free place to start, is to start putting yourself out there. And if you're not comfortable putting yourself out there, taking your business partner, a customer that you work with, a client testimonial, and putting them out there with a simple cell phone video is key. And I will tell you, the best free tool that you have is actually the sound booth that is your motor vehicle. Your car is a sound booth. It is a perfectly dense sound booth. And most people who are watching video on social, especially on social, will tell you that the biggest detriment, the biggest reason why they stop watching something isn't because of how it looks, it's because it's unlistenable. And so if you can make something that sounds really good, it's very crisp, it's very clear, you'll have a clear opportunity there to work on something for free.
Anybody else?
No, I think it's been covered.
I have an answer. Yeah, totally. Yeah, sorry. As the Facebook Live guy, I gotta just mirror what she says. It's free. It really is. And there's one thing that I know, is that you don't know what you don't know about your customers. That's just the bottom line. You have no clue what you don't know yet. The beauty with live video is you get to start testing that. What are people interacting with? What are they engaging with? What do they want? You know, because Don, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes if you try to create a really nice piece for your business too early, it's going to be what you want to see. It's going to be like, what? This feels good to me. Oh my gosh, this is great. But is it converting your customers? Is it actually getting them to take action? Is it actually getting them to the point where they're like, this is what I want to see? So just mirroring what she says, you have that device in your hand that's free, and 3 words. You got to embrace the suck. You're not going to be good at it. You just got to suck for a little bit, and then you're going to be great, and people are going to notice that. And we have all seen people do live video good and bad, but, you know, be that person that starts to learn, because with live video, you become better at everything, and it's free to get started.
Okay, I have an opinion now.
Sit back down.
It's free, and what are your goals?
if your goal is to win an Academy Award, it's not free. It's $20 million or
Plus.
$200 million, right? If you want to present your company not as a wacky startup that's doing, LinkedIn Live, but as a going concern, but no, seriously, like, how are you perceived in the world? You spend money commensurate to the quality of video that's produced. The reason that you would go to JoyRec is he's been doing this for what, 20 years?
Well, it's
10 years, but a long time, and he's learned, he's forgotten more than you'll learn in the next 5, right? So I'd say it's both and.
But I'll also bring $30,000 worth of equipment when I come.
Right, yeah, so one of the things that I think is a huge danger right now is everyone's like, you need video, and everyone's like, oh, gotta get video, let's have more video. What I would say is, why? You need to understand why you need video. Who's the audience you're trying to get to? What's the message you're trying to get out there? If you have answers to those, then you can figure out, hey, maybe LinkedIn Live is totally appropriate. I want to be seen as run and gun. Perfect, do that.
I'm a Facebook Live guy.
Or Facebook Live, sorry.
Right.
Anyway,
I'm waiting.
but yeah, make sense?
Well, I'm gonna add to that then. Sorry, this is like a fun game, right? We can make a line right here. Everyone, just get up. But I will say I agree until I disagree, right? Because I think like the counter movement in the current world, and if you look at why we like Instagram and why we like YouTube, a lot of it is not actually the production value. It is the message and the authenticity of the message, right? And so the biggest mistake I've ever seen with every client I've ever done is that they're constipated because of quality, right? Like they cannot start because they cannot deliver. And to Liz's point, like if I can't spend $10,000 to do like a video every day, I'll do one every 6 months or whatever, right? Because that's where I anticipate I need to be. And the reality is, just like with the audio thing, people really just want to hear your message. They don't really care how polished it is ultimately, right? Like, why do they go to their friends for recommendations about what you say? Because they want an unfiltered view. And so the more that you can create the feeling of that unfiltered view, and just, by the way, exactly what Kyle's business does anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
I agree with all this, by
Yeah.
the way, too.
Yeah. What I'm saying is the free part is free, but it's also valuable because it is like the most direct line to you, right? And so don't go away from that part as you add more production value, right? Like, because I think like what ends up happening is like it turns into like makeup and lighting and scripts and a whole bunch of other things. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things, except if you stop actually doing what you were doing originally, which is communicating, to Danny's point, directly to your customer and like actually engaging them and having a conversation.
I'm going to just say one thing, though, which is that if you plan to play in a premium space, so if you want to charge a lot of money for what you do, you have to have premium content. You can't have, there's a disassociation, right? Like, let's be real. I'm a bougie person. And so I like, when I'm on Instagram, y'all are a tough crowd. When I'm on Instagram or I'm on YouTube or I'm on Facebook, brands that don't speak to the level of quality that I expect, if I'm going to spend $200 on a handbag, if I'm going to spend $150 on a pair of shoes, I need it to look at a certain level of quality. The same thing is true for service-based businesses. The same thing is true for software businesses. You need to be playing, your content game needs to be approximately at the level that you're expecting to compete in for the customers that you're trying to speak to. And so I do think there's an importance to understanding, yes, doing the free stuff is great, but I really consider that as your iteration period, and then iterate to great. When you know that something is working, when you know that a message is really fantastic, then get the studio, then do the professional quality, then invest in the cinematography and the scripting and all of that. But that iterate to great mentality will get you there so that when you do spend $15,000 to $20,000 on video, it really is hitting the mark for your brand and your company.
And I want to back Don up too as the produced video guy. As the Facebook social media, I'm just face down in social media. I know what works on social media, but what I know that works is once I get somebody that's really engaged and really starts to see their brand, because I'm attracting the cold audience. When they do go to a website and see something that's produced, that's awesome, that like Don makes, that creates a conversion. That creates a customer that's already, they're willing, they want you to show them your best foot forward, and that's where I see produced video that comes in to sort of my ecosystems. So that's the beauty of all of us. We're all different ecosystems.
Yep.
We're all trying to capture different things. And my face down when you hear me talk is social media. What works there? And then people like Don are creating that content. Then when you make it work there, and they click that learn more link, or they Facebook stalk you, I call it. You've all been 13 profiles deep into somebody you don't know. That's Facebook stalking. So you've all done it, and that's curiosity. And when you curiosity click on a website, and then the very first thing you see is a high-end joy wreck video, just to Liz's point, you're more likely to fork out that money. So I think it's where you're at again, where you're at, who you want to target. Social media is a big way to start to just see what's working and start to get in front of a lot of people. But yeah, the produced video is key too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nate. This is a tough question. You got everyone.
I'll go to the back.
Bye, Nate.
I'm about out of beer anyway.
So,
Will you give me one?
Got a red wine. I was gonna say, somebody get that one with red wine.
And a bib.
yeah, there obviously is a place for all of this for all different quality levels of video. I think the word that really struck me was authenticity. I think the only time you're going to make a mistake in video, whether you're trying to do it DIY or whether you're paying for it, where you're going to make a mistake is when it feels like you're trying to do something that you're really not qualified to do, and you lose authenticity.
Maybe don't throw the beers. Should we hand a beer? Would you like to?
Good.
I think we pounded that question hard enough.
So I'm the non-video professional here. So I'm trying to channel the nascent, the noob out there. Getting started producing video for their business, for solopreneur, small business. What tips do you have? Equipment tips? Is it focus on the story? Is it, be authentic, be original? That's all great. Obviously have a story. I mean, there's great books out there. Be story driven. Storyboard, all that kind of stuff. So, but Gregarious, I don't know if you've produced that yet, but you were going to come up with I'm starting in video, and like, what equipment do I need? And he's gone down the rabbit hole on that. But I'm just curious, each one of you, these are people that probably haven't produced video before. I haven't.
I'll go first only because I have the least sophisticated setup, and I'm sure we're almost no. All right, if we were to switch this guy around, we'd go in order of probably sophistication of stuff. I started my show. Yeah, there you go. Whoa. I started my show 3 months ago, and I was literally just using a webcam on my computer. Initially, I'm on LinkedIn Live, so it's a beta program. There's not it's still kind of closed off. There's only 400 or 500 people in that right now, but it'll soon be available to everybody. Danny and I actually do a show once a week on that also. And one of the things we talked about is the best thing for you to do is to get started, right? Don't make the excuse well, I don't have the right gear, which is why I can't make video. You have a phone. If you can prop it up against a book, you have enough to record video. One of the benefits of live, I would say, right, is that it's a little bit more forgiving, right? Relative to how polished things are going to be, right? So when you're live, you can be like, hey, is this thing on? And you shouldn't do that. But yeah, don't do that. But you will do that, right? And guess what? People understand that you're sort of testing it out or you're using stuff, right? But you software. There's a lot of software layers involved, right? That will help you if you're willing to go through the learning curve of it. Gear wise, though, I think at least for me, the first purchase I made was just a better microphone. To Liz's point, audio is everything. Nobody gives a crap. I used to do a podcast 10 years ago when podcasting started in bars over drinks with people. I did 300 podcasts in 4 months. And as long as the audio was good, people would download the episode, right? If the audio sucked, then no one will listen to it. Because they're trying to distill ultimately the message, right? A lot of people watch video, but they put it on the side. So they're not actually paying attention sometimes. Sometimes that's why they have all these tips about hey, look at this, and prompting people to sort of pay attention again, right? But microphone would probably be the first thing I recommend that you definitely purchase. You can buy a $20 external mic to put on your phone, right? To do that, right? Then you can get a light, just like Kyle had there, right? Lighting makes a big difference just in terms of seeing yourself, right? And then the software, I don't even know. I do live, so I don't really edit as much, but I use Premiere for when I did videos on LinkedIn Video as well, or YouTube. They're not that hard to use. There's some online ones, I think, that you can use that maybe even aren't that bad also. But you can do all of this stuff on your phone. One of the most popular LinkedIn Video people in the whole world She does everything on her phone, right? And she's got like 50,000 followers or something on LinkedIn. Her name's Goldie Chan. She's awesome, and you should watch her. But she does Goldie Chan. She does a lot of her stuff right on her phone. And so again, it just proves the point that, and she does have a videographer and everything else as well now, right? But it proves the point that that making the content is still better than not making it, right? And then improving the quality. What was that phrase you used? I loved it. Iterate to great. That's exactly, I think, the mentality you should have. When you find something lacking, then improve it, right? Like, but listen to people. Like, if people aren't telling you it's lacking, then it could be that no one's listening because the quality is so shit, right? But it likely is that like you're not like reaching them on a different level, right? Like, and so let them tell you what to improve and ask them, and you'll do better.
Any $20 mic work? Or?
Almost any $20 mic works, honestly. Like most lav mics, they're all comparable and they're fairly similar.
They're about 60.
Yeah, well, it depends on
ones.
a decent one's $60, right? If you go on YouTube and search for anything like about like podcast or whatever,
Yeah, watch all the reviews.
you'll get like a million videos of
Yeah.
like reviews of all kinds of stuff like on what to buy if you're just trying.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah, what do you recommend?
Well, okay, so I'm going to recommend you don't buy anything. I'm just going to recommend you come to Suna, and you can have. Yeah. Listen, we have a $250,000 studio that you can walk into, and you have a professional level photo or video created by our professional crew on 4K cameras, and it will be delivered to you in 24 hours for $93. That is why I've invented this business. Because you don't need to be spending your time on Amazon trying to figure out which lav mic is worth a damn. You need to be spending time building your business and getting your message out there. Now, if you're really insistent on like, I'm just going to struggle hard and make this as hard for myself as humanly possible, then my number one tip is to go to Goodwill, buy the cheapest white sheet you can find, hang it over a window, and stand in front of that, and you'll have a beauty light that looks better than anything else that anybody's going to sell you anywhere. And then close the door, get really quiet, and record your videos on your phone. But otherwise, come to Suna. Promo code Suna loves you. Come for free the first time.
Yeah, I concur. You should go there. I mean, if you haven't seen, just go look up Suna on. You're doing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, right?
Oh yeah, LinkedIn.
Yeah, but like the space is really cool. I'm going to give you whether you buy gear or go to Suna. I'm going to give you 3 tips around storytelling, or 3 concepts that I think are critical before you start. One of them is point of view. Have a point of view. Having a point of view is actually scary because when you have a point of view, there's going to be people that agree with you and people that disagree with you. That's a good thing. So have a point of view, and when you put it out there, and you get your first flame back and someone hates you because of what you said, don't flip and have the opposite point of view. So pick a point of view. So that's one thing. The second thing is story structure. Now, it sounds really scary, but this is back to this idea of hitting the record button is not necessarily storytelling. If you're live streaming and you have a point of view, you can kind of ramble and it's forgiven. But if you want to produce a video, we know this from grade school. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So if you want to make a 2-minute video, like this is the basis of what Storyvine's based on. If you want to make a 2-minute video, have those 3 elements. So let's say you want to do thought leadership. Here's an idea and why I think it's interesting. Here's the impact that it's having in the world, the middle, and here's what you can do about it. The end, beginning, middle, end. So those 3 things, just before you open your mouth, think, what's the setup to my story? What's the chewy middle? What's the conclusion or call to action? If you do that before you start talking, it will guide you. So that's the second one. So point of view, story structure. And then the third one is frequency. Anyone, there's some decently old people in here. Anyone remember the YouTube channel Shaytards? The family? No? Okay. It was this.
That was the weirdest introduction to that
Thank
idea
you.
ever.
Yeah, because nobody's like the age thing.
Whatever. I'm old.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I'm 52. It doesn't work.
I'm 54. So
You're young.
So it was basically this family that just sort of like video blogged their life shopping. Like they would go shopping and just have wacky family antics. The content wasn't all that interesting. Like it had a good energy to it.
but it was like every Thursday it showed up. So there's something about frequency. If you're going to start doing this, have the frequency. If you say you're going to do it daily, do it daily. If you say you're going to do it weekly, make it your job. Like, put it in your calendar, and like, if Wednesday night you have to produce it so you can launch it on Thursday, do that. That frequency, your audience will start to expect it, and they'll start to come back because of it, even if you're not perfect in what you're doing. So point of view, story structure, frequency. Those three, if you add those, you can do it at either place.
Yeah.
All right. So equipment-wise, again, me and Gregarious are the social media guys. That's where we stay. We stay in our lane. We don't mess around. I'm going to mirror what Gregarious says. I think there is. You've all heard the word algorithm, right? Everybody's familiar with the word algorithm by now. We know it's ever flowing. It's ever changing. What you need to know is that live video is preferred in the algorithm when it comes to social media. Facebook, if you were to do a produced video and you were to do a live video on the same topic and put no ad money behind it, the live video is going to win every time. It's more authentic. Facebook is actually going to prioritize it in the news feed and show it to more people before you get any comments or interactions. But if you do get comments or interactions, it's actually going to be pushed further. So are there any Facebook ads experts in here? Know how to run Facebook video ads? Yeah, that's most of everybody, right? Isn't that scary to try to do that? What you have to understand is when you actually do a live video and you're brave and you get over that hump, Facebook will actually run their own ad for you. They're going to say, hey, first of all, thanks for doing live. We love our live platform. You're awesome. Thanks for that. Second, they're going to say, okay, now we're going to find people that are probably more interested in seeing this. And thirdly, they're going to notify people that you're live. They don't notify people when you upload a video, but they do notify people when you actually go live. And if you've gone live in the past, they're going to notify them when you go live again. So if you have a page that has 1,000 likes, what you need to understand is the only way for them to get notified that you're actually doing something is to do a live video. And then you're going to be in front of those people. And for that, yeah.
When you're done.
Okay. So when it comes to equipment, because again, I think there's place for everybody. Like, I love, Don's got the high-end stuff. I think that needs to be on your website and it's going to sell people. But you need your phone. This is exactly where I started 3 years ago. Just talking about something that I love. If you don't love it and you don't care about it, then don't talk about it. And you're probably in the wrong business. But if you are and your people are out there, just start talking to them. They will come up out of nowhere. One of the biggest things I teach is tribe cultivation. Cultivate your tribe. Your people are out there. There are people in this audience right now that hate the way I talk. They hate the way I look, and that's fine. But there are people that are like, you know what, dude, I like your style. What you have to understand is that you're not going to appeal to everybody. I can't win this room, but I can win the people that are interested in hearing me talk the way that I talk. And for the people that don't, then we've got a whole bunch of other people that are going to talk to you too. But get started with your phone. Add a mic. I think lighting is key too. But if you have a phone that's iPhone 8 or higher, or a Samsung S8 or higher, you're good to go. You got everything you need, and you can start failing forward because we know what that means. No, you're not going to be great, but you are going to start talking to your people. So phone, light, audio, you're good to go.
Yeah, we'll start taking questions. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what is, I'm always curious, what does Facebook do after the live sessions are over? As far as, do they continue to circulate it, or?
Yeah.
Repeat the question before we ask.
What do they do after Facebook Live, after you do the video? What happens to that video? I get that question all the time. Well, first of all, it doesn't die. It stays there forever as a resource that you can use, as a tool that you can use for people that are coming to your brand. Instagram has a live feature, but it disappears after 24 hours. So for Facebook, once you do it, it's live, it stays there, and people can interact with it in the future. Other things people don't know is you can actually, you get that raw content, you get that video content that you made, and you can do anything you want with it. You can upload it to YouTube, you can upload it to LinkedIn if it's 10 minutes or less, you can make a cut of it under 60 seconds and upload it to Instagram. So you could do one live video and literally be seen and heard in 4 or 5 extra places. But it stays there forever, it never disappears.
Do we have to save it in order to have access
You
to
either
it
have
again?
to save it if you do it from your phone,
Yeah.
or there's apps out there that allow you to sort of pull the video
Okay.
right off of social media and get that raw content. But the purest form of the content is right after you do it.
It asks you.
Yeah. It asks you at the end on mobile, yeah. Yeah.
It'll ask
So in other words, they're only promoting it while it's live.
In other words, they're only promoting it while it's live. Yes and no. Video. I've completed live videos on a page with 62 likes that by the time we were done had 7 views. That's how many views we had by the time we were done going live. Over the course of 10 to 12 days, we had 3,000 views. So no, this grows. And what Facebook, think of it like a snowball rolling down the hill. As soon as people start to comment or interact or like it or say something, it kind of bumps up in priority and Facebook starts showing it a little more because they're looking for comments, likes, shares, tags, any form of interaction is what they're looking for. And that's how they're going to prioritize that and start moving it through the platform. Yeah.
Like the video for brands that want to start doing videos on Facebook. What's your recommendation?
3 to 5 minutes if it's just you.
Say the question.
Oh, yeah. Length of videos for live video if you're just getting started. 3 to 5 minutes is a great time to kind of get in. Live is never live. You're not just turning it on. You better do some planning and preparation. You better have a few key points that you want to talk about so you can stay on track. But 3 to 5 minutes by yourself. But you have friends in your industry. You have friends that you network with and collaborate with. One of the easiest things to do is interview a friend. Talk about their business. Collaborate. That can be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes when you have 2 people on camera.
I'm just going to add to that because that study, remember we talked about?
Yeah.
There's some research out there that shows actually like 10 to 20 minutes though is actually preferable. And largely I think it is because like most platforms send a ping out like telling people like, hey, someone went live, and it takes them a bunch of time to like actually figure out like, oh, I want to watch that, and then get over there and then start up their computer or turn their phone on or whatever it may be. So you see like the first early minutes you may not have a lot of participation and it tends to ramp up over time. So if you are going to go live, I recommend probably going live earlier, right, to figure out like where that window is and keep an eye on it to understand like how long does your audience take to get activated, et cetera.
It's 20 minutes, though. That's the key number. On Facebook, you'll hit peak viewership, meaning all the notifications have gone out over the course of 20 minutes. Yeah.
So you get there a little too late, and it says the video has ended.
Yeah.
Where can we watch the video?
On their page. Just click their profile, and it's on their page. Yeah, it's always in there. It's always on their page if you missed it. Yeah.
And I like your style, Danny, and your hair.
Thank you.
But gregarious normally wins the hair game. So.
Yeah.
Another question? Up front?
You're talking about frequency, consistency.
Yeah.
When you're doing Facebook Live, is it helpful to even go to the hour, like Thursday at 2 o'clock? Or could you just do Thursday?
Oh, yeah. No, it's helpful to be consistent on a time frame. Yeah, create a time slot for 2 reasons. One, people who like your content will be like, you're more likely to hit them again the following week because we're all busy. We don't just... This isn't like it was in the 90s where we all sit down to watch our favorite show at 8 o'clock at night. We got DVRs. We're busy. So try to do it at the same time. You'll likely hit the same people, but experiment with times as well. Find different times, but be consistent. You're going to talk yourself out of going live. I promise you that. There are 9 million reasons why next week you'll be like, I don't feel well. Something came up. I'm busy. Be consistent. The consistency pays off. It really does.
We got Martinez. You have Chris Martinez
Yeah.
has a question.
So back, continuing on the sort of frequency topic, what's a pretty reasonable frequency, knowing that we're all trying to get a company off the ground?
Yeah.
And also, should you do your own stunts?
Yeah, every other week would be a good frequency.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How frequently should you do it, and should you do your own stunts? What do you mean by do your own stunts?
Car crashes.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, people. Always.
All right, I got you. Okay.
Don't encourage him.
So when you're first getting started, every other week is a good sort of goal to give yourself. That way you have a week to do live video, and you have a week to kind of plan and prepare for the next week. Eventually you want to get to the goal where you're going live every week, but in the beginning, every other week is a good plan just to get started. Give yourself some grace. If you miss a week, that's okay. Don't miss another one. And yes, you should do your own stunts. 100% of the time.
Can I just add to that really quickly, though, because I think, I love Facebook Live, don't get me wrong, but maximizing the value of what you're creating is really critical here. So if you're going to do a Facebook Live, say for 20 minutes on Tuesdays at 2 p.m., make sure you're downloading that video, and then maybe you're posting the best 30 seconds on Instagram, and maybe you're posting the best, the best nuggets of wisdom in 5 minutes on YouTube, so that you're taking this one theoretical piece of content and you're utilizing it in ideal ways across many platforms. And then the cheapest, smartest thing that you can do for yourself, both for SEO and for just standing out in the newsfeed, is when you create those different variations. You go and spend $2 at rev.com or any of the other closed captioning services, and you close caption those videos so that people can search for them, and also so that people can actually read them and click through and watch them if they don't want to hear them. Because remember, a third of Facebook users will not listen to your video. So you need to be conscientious about being able to have that closed captioning in there too.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna add, if you want a really cheap hack for that, you can upload your video to YouTube and it'll give you a really crappy, sometimes good, closed captioning file that you could at least use to maybe edit if you were gonna do it by hand. I will say, like, just from my learning so far, I look at like the video, and I think it's excellent points you guys have both made actually, is that there's 3 phases to sort of doing any kind of video. There's sort of the preparation, like how am I gonna do, what am I gonna talk about, where's it gonna be, when's it gonna be. There's the production part, like in real time, like where am I setting up? Do I need, I got here an hour early to put that tablet on a table, right? And then there's the promotion, right? Like, and I think Liz's point is really, really important, and Danny does this in his business as well, and you do it as well. Everyone does it. But that asset, the reason like why a video asset is so powerful is that video becomes stills, video becomes words and text, right? Video becomes like shorter videos, right? And all those other variations of it come out of making one video. So if you had the choice and you're willing to like be on screen, the best thing to make is a video, because you could turn into all these other forms of content if you're doing content marketing, right? But if you do any of the other lower variations, then you don't get the other things automatically out of it, right? So hence video is just really powerful for that repurposing and promotion aspect.
I want to add in one thing on frequency, and it's a bit of a twist on it. What we've been talking about for the past 15 minutes or so is kind of assuming you're the star. You don't have to be the star. Your customers can be the star. Your employees can be the star. Your employees, it's interesting. We do a lot of work with big clients, and they talk about, we want to do thought leadership. And then they're like, okay, we've got these 6 executives. I'm like, well, everyone's heard those 6 executives all the time. Why not do thought leadership across your employee base? Right? So why not? So think about, again, this goes back to, what are you trying to accomplish? If what you're trying to accomplish is to build your personal brand, you're the star. Be the star. But if what you're trying to do is support your business, and you say you're all about your employees, but you're the only one on video, that's kind of counter to that message. So don't just think like you have, and there's probably people in here who are introverts, like, I don't want to be on Facebook Live. Don't. But think about who should be there, who's the audience, and what message is going to resonate.
Yeah. I have a very quick question. So once the video is done and there's likes and responses coming in, what is the effort taken to convert all of those into qualified leads and then convert to a client? I mean, what's the approximate effort in all of that? Time effort.
Yeah, I would say you got to
repeat the question.
Yeah, just repeat the question.
Yeah, after people comment and people are interacting with your video, what are next steps, right, to convert them into leads? Well, it's a slow work. I mean, there's people that are going to be highly motivated from one touch, but there's most people that aren't. It's that consistency. There's still that number that 7 touches is going to complete a sale or make somebody make an action. So it's that consistency that we're talking about, of being consistently in front of them. So when they comment on that video, they're going to see the next one. It's going to show up in their feed. And I want to challenge you all to be content experts after you leave here. Everybody who scrolls the Facebook platform, when you're moving your thumb and you see somebody doing video but you don't stop, ask yourself if you know who they are and what they sell, even if you don't watch it, okay? That means you're scrolling, you don't stop, you see them for a hot millisecond. Ask yourself if your brain can say who that is and what they're selling, because odds are you're going to be able to tell, especially if there's somebody that's consistently doing live. I do so many live videos that I don't care how many views I get. People are going to see me in the feed, they're going to get that marketing touch, and then when they're ready, they're going to know where to find me because I'm staying consistently in front of them. But there are many tools you can use, like one for Facebook is called ManyChat. Have you guys ever heard of messenger bots? You can actually have keywords. You can say, hey, if you want my freebie, I have a Facebook Live mobile starter kit that I give away. If you comment the word live below, it automatically sends a resource, and then you are now in my system to where I can start following up with you through Facebook Messenger, which, by the way, has a 96% open rate and like a 45% click-through rate, which is really trumping any type of email. So there's all kinds of business resources, but it depends on how deep you want to get into it.
Yeah. All right, so pretend I'm a startup. I have a highly emotional product, right? As soon as I start talking about it, people get emotional with it. Everyone here is from a different kind of sphere from the video side. If I'm going to start, what would be a natural flow through all four of you on where I would start? Would I start with a $93 video and then maybe move into something slightly more productive and then $20,000? And then when do I start my live feed? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I'll jump on that. I think Liz's point earlier about.
Repeat the question.
Oh yeah, sorry. So the question is like, if I'm a startup, say with a highly emotional product, where should I start? And I think Liz made the best point about this earlier, which is like you got to figure out what level of quality someone expects, like in experiencing that brand, right? Like, so like for example, if your competition would be like Ancestry or Genie or something like that, like what level are they going to do it at, right? And then like that may be like your ceiling, right? But then your floor is sort of like, what sort of like doesn't make people think I'm running this out of my basement, and what level of trust or sort of commitment do like if and I know your business, which is like in story memories, etc. Like, would I trust someone who feels like, are they filming that in their closet, right? And is that where my memories are going to be stored, right? Like, so you sort of have that concern, like I think as the floor, like that you want to elevate above, right? You can if you're clever, but not everyone can figure this out, and that's why you use like work with folks like Nate. You could turn like your bootstrapping this into sort of an advantage, right? But you could also produce something that looks like really like handmade, you know, like, but also produce it at a really high quality level, right? Like, so you know, like what really good producers do is they make things feel real no matter what money was spent on it, right?
And I'm not talking about getting all clever. I'm saying if I was just a baseline generic starter and I see these resources here that everyone's presented to us, is there a natural...
Yeah, there is no answer to that, though, because generic is generic in a space, in a context, to a customer, right?
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Storyvine.
Well, no, the answer is not Storyvine, actually. The answer is, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, it goes back to why. Like, why are you doing it? What are you trying to accomplish? You could be doing a consulting business, and the answer is you don't need a video. You could have something where if your thing's about memories, you want to create a single video that is highly emotional that makes someone cry. I'd spend money on that, right? But like, and so the answer is no video, or maybe you need lots of videos. Maybe you need examples of the memories that you're storing, and authenticity is the key. I don't even care if they're good looking, but if they're authentic and I believe I'm storing those memories, then it's valuable. So again, go back to the why. What are you trying to accomplish? Who's the audience? And that will sort of feed who you would go to in this panel.
And then what worked?
And then what worked? Yeah, that's great.
Well, I was going to say, it really is first.
Yes.
You really have to figure out who your target audience is and where they're at. Right. So if they're on Facebook, you know, women over 30 or whatever, I'm just, laying something out, then that's where you want to go. It really depends on what your audience, the production value is going to drive that, but I mean, it really is, from a marketing standpoint, you got to go back to your strategy and who.
Yeah, I back that up 100%. As soon as I sit down with someone, my first question is, what are you trying to do? How do we move the needle? And how will you gauge if that needle was moved or not? Like, I'm looking for results. So yeah, I just got back
results,
to
not a video.
Exactly.
Like a video is just a tactic. Right. It's just a tactic. You need to figure out what you're trying to accomplish as a business, and then say if video is important to that, then which.
Then you hire the artists who are best equipped to move the emotions of your audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I would just say, it's jobs to be done, right? So in marketing, we have a digital agency. People come to us, we have a website problem. They actually have a traffic problem. So what's the job to be done? Build a new website, or you need traffic to that website? So it's...
Or both.
Or both. So do people want a 3/4 inch drill bit, or they want the 3/4 inch hole? Yeah. They want the outcome. It's Clayton Christensen, jobs to be done, marketing framework. Is super smart. So, what's the accomplishment of this video? What are we seeking to accomplish? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm going to say it is again clearly where you're growing. If you have a website that does have a shit ton of traffic, then you need a Joyrec video or a Suna video, a really nice portrayal of yourself if you're getting that traffic. But if you got no traffic and you got nothing going on and you're not driving anybody anywhere and you want to grow on social media and social media is where your people are and that's where you see your business growing, then you want to start kind of in the live video space. And you don't need that produced video yet, but you will. You know, there's really a continuum of everybody that I work with. I'm eventually going to shove you that way, without a doubt. I don't want you doing just live video all the time, because if you're really good at live video and you're making an impact and you're doing some things like he said, like interviewing thought leaders, interviewing people in your industry, interviewing people in your business, eventually people are going to be going to your website and they're going to want to see that portrayal. So I'm eventually pushing people that way anyway, because I'm going to say, look, you're getting great website traffic from this, but you don't have a video there at all for anybody to engage with, and you need to go that direction. And just know it's going to be flowing. You might want to build your social media platform for 6 months, and then you might want to take a break and figure out to save some money because you want to get a really good video on your website. So it all depends on where you want to grow. We all want a website that's amazing, but you got to figure out how you're going to get people there and how you're going to start to attract. We work in this attraction marketing atmosphere. Kids aren't growing up that want to be baseball players. Kids are growing up to be influencers. They want to be influencers. They want to influence people. That's our generation. And no matter where we're at on the age continuum, you just have to play the game of where people are at right now. So just go where you want to grow right now.
All right, so we'll take a couple more questions. Anybody in the back? We got one right up front here. Anybody in the back? Should.
So for when you're considering like Facebook and LinkedIn, personally I've never used LinkedIn with sound. And most people I know that use LinkedIn use it in the office. Are those things you have to keep in mind when you are getting video?
Yes, get closed captioning. It works really good. It's called He asked, I don't use LinkedIn with sound. And most people in offices are not using LinkedIn with sound. And so that's true, 100%. The data backs you up, the statistics back you up. So 2 key things. You want to be able to get closed captions on those videos so that if they do decide that it's interesting and compelling and they plug in their headphones and want to listen to you, that will work. The other thing to keep in mind is not every type of video is contingent on your mouth talking and moving. The most popular video that Suna has ever done in the 6 months that we've been marketing the business is a stop motion animation of our prop wall propagating and then like emptying out. And sometimes just that simple quick hit content is a great way to be thinking about your brand. And there are plenty of businesses in this room that probably don't need to have a talking head talking about anything to be compelling. So just remember that.
They all need cat videos though, right?
Cat videos.
Maybe.
Yeah, cats. There's always yes.
All right, one more from the audience and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. So a lot of you guys look like you're mainly targeting towards direct consumer products and things that are getting used on the end. Looking at marketing more towards businesses and potential partners.
We're B2B.
Okay, yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about that and kind of the differences between, even though our product might be going to an end consumer, if we're trying to partner with someone to help sell it, how we're, and like they're ultimately our buyer, they're the consumer for our company.
Rephrase the question.
So the question is, there's been a lot of talk of sort of targeting end consumers. What if you've got a B2B business, or what if you're targeting a business audience? The answer is essentially the same. The language is different, and the language is much more specific. So one of our core target markets is pharmaceutical marketers. So how you talk to pharmaceutical marketers is very specific. So again, it goes back to, someone in here said, you need to know who you're talking to. And start with that and figure out what is the message that will resonate with them. And it's no different than if you were going to have how you design a sales conversation. So when you pick up the phone and call your target market, you've got things that you say about your business that's based on what resonates with them, what's worked in the past. So it's no different than that. So it's really understand who you're talking to, what message is relevant to your business that will resonate with them. And then you can start to get creative about, okay, if I were going to do that in video, how might I do it in live versus how might I do it, with a single sort of sexy, glory video for the homepage, or how might I do it if I'm going to do stuff really quickly and knock it out over time. But audience is key, message is key. Marry those two, and then figure out how to execute.
Appealing to their end like selling to as part of that, or am I driving really just at their business interest?
So the follow-on question is, do you target to your B2B customers end consumer? Potentially. I don't know your business. So if you've got a product that ultimately is going to be delivered to that end consumer, having testimonials of that end consumer saying, God, I need that product, and putting that in front of your buyer, yeah, that's potentially, like, I could see that as being valuable. But again, understand, like, you know, part of that starts to become a story acquisition strategy. Like, oh, I need to get these end consumers telling their stories in an authentic way that I can curate and put those in front of my business customer to get them to give me money to reach those customers. So again, it like just it goes back to who are you trying to talk to, what's the message that will resonate, and then sort of triangulate back from that. Make sense?
Yeah.
I'll give you 3 points that I think are probably relevant. One, I think like there has been massive sort of consumerization of sort of the business world as a whole, and so the expectation levels do not necessarily marry to like the sterile sort of laboratory environment that you may be used to, right? Well, I'm not saying it's entirely true, but it may be that you don't need to sort of isolate yourself in that way. I would also then say, like, I think if you look at the platform that you're trying to reach that consumer at, I know like we do a lot of this. Companies now target people, everyone just targets people on Facebook. And so the real question is like, what's the appropriate way in the context that you're reaching them in also, right? Like, because, you know, like people reinvent, you have to like adapt the persona of the platform that you're in so that the content feels native to the place that it's being consumed in as well, right? So even though you're reaching a business, every business person is still on Facebook, right? If you reach them on Facebook, the real question is like, are they in lightweight work mode or are they like in hardcore work mode, right? And so like, how do you make that still feel relevant? And I think like if you look at the broad trend of like moving to like more account-based sort of like sales and marketing sort of approaches, you know, to your point, you could literally be targeting one person. And so you literally could make a video that is literally you talking directly to that person, right? Which literally could feel like a testimonial, right? Like, or a direct appeal to a person. And so, you know, or messaging like by name even potentially, right? In video ads or in image-based ads. So I think like, the distinction is probably blurring quite a bit, like historically, right? And where we are now, I think, except for like highly regulated environments, or where sort of the customer base is sort of doesn't appreciate sort of that stuff, right? Like that's when you would isolate, but otherwise, you're probably best to try and figure out ways to stand apart and to be meaningful to your customers, whoever they are.
This is a really easy asterisk, which is to just remember that, like, I sell businesses videos and photography, and ultimately people are people, and humans hate advertising in general, and they want relevance and they want important information, and we launched Suna literally basically by me being on Instagram every single day, on Instagram stories, showing people behind the scenes looks of what was going on. You don't have any idea how much your picture of your dog, your picture of your struggles, whatever thing that they might identify with that actually creates a human connection that makes them a more passionate consumer or partner for you. Some of my most successful partnerships in my business, I am not kidding, are people who found me on Instagram, liked my cat picture, and now we're doing $1 million deals together. And that is just human people giving a shit about other human people. And I think if we can all just remember that, we'd all be a lot better off, and we'd make a lot less garbage to begin with.
Yeah, to add to that, for sure, it really, when it comes to B2B, so 60% of my business is actually B2B, 40% is personal coaching. If you're a business, how many people have a website in the audience? All right, you have a blog. How many people have a blog? Okay, those blogs, you are writing them. They're great. They are SEO performing things on your website right now. They're problems your customers are having. They're solutions that they need. They're things you're putting out there because you're hoping somebody is going to web search for them, right? Again, keeping in mind that 82% of people prefer video over a blog, you already have some science in front of you. You know what blogs of yours are working. Turn those into video so that you can start to appeal to your businesses so that when they do that web search, if you upload it to YouTube, it's going to be first page Google. They can click on that video if they want to watch it, and they're going to get that blog content through the form of a video. So no, the video works for everybody. CEOs are online. She's a CEO. You're a CEO. They're online. They're on social media. You can target anybody you want. They're human beings. And just by highlighting the problem that they have and you talking about the solution you offer, again, you're building that trust and credibility. It doesn't matter if it's direct to consumer or it's trying to highlight a business or a person that's having a problem. And then, again, Facebook stalks you. So it works both ways.
All right, we'll wrap up with, we can do, if you have any parting wisdom or quick hits. If you don't have to say anything. But what I took away was not just cat videos, but cat pictures too. So
Both effects.
if you take that home, I think we're good. Anybody step up?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just add that I do think we made this point earlier, and I'll repeat it though, is that everyone should just start, right? Like even if you start and record for yourself and like play it back to yourself, or just like secretly show it to people and see what they think. Start, because like the only way to sort of get into any of these types of cycles is really to develop the habit of doing it, right? And that habit takes a long time to form, and you don't have a way to really look at yourself and how you're doing until you actually establish more of the muscle memory around doing it itself, right? And so if you're waiting, you think this might be valuable, it may be, right? If you can find analogs where it's working, use that as encouragement. Even if you can't, then use that as an opportunity to stand apart, but start doing it, right? Then make it better. Don't worry about it. I love this phrase of like iterate to great. But that's like my favorite takeaway from tonight.
The only thing I didn't say that I wish I would have that I'm going to do now is if you are going to be in front of the camera, Denver Center for the Performing Arts has an on-camera class. You should take it. It doesn't take that long. It doesn't take up that much time, and it's not that expensive. And you would be so. I've spent before I spent years in front of the camera before I realized I could make a lot more money behind the camera. But I have a lot of experience in front of the camera, and it can be intimidating. And as a spokesperson in front of the camera, I was terrible for quite a while. It took a while to get good. And then I started getting really good. And then that just continued to happen. It takes time. And I would strongly encourage taking an on-camera class. It could be super fun as well.
And I would encourage you to look at JoyRec and look at the quality of video they produce. It's really awesome.
I'm just going to be shamelessly self-promotional. You can come to Suna anytime. The first free video is just promo code SOONA, SOONA, loves you. I would love you for coming to see us, and we're on South Broadway.
Cool. What I would say is, as you're thinking about getting into video, one of the things that I find really intimidating is figuring out what's good, right? So if, let's say you decide to spend $10,000 on a video for your website, what's good? What I would say to you is this: you already know what's good. It's the stuff that you like. So what I would say is, if you're thinking about getting into video, just pay a little bit more attention into what resonates with you. Do you like things that are kind of cool colored and funky and dark, or do you like things that are bright and optimistic? Like, do you like things that have a funny edge to them, or things that are a bit more serious? Like, whatever resonates with you personally, that's ultimately the filter that you want to start looking. Like, if you go to JoyRec's site and you look at the content and it doesn't resonate with the stuff you like, they're not the right team for you. But if it does, then they absolutely are. So I guess what I'd say is become a student of what you think is good, and that's ultimately the kind of stuff you'll go in that direction as you start to explore this world of creating content.
I would. The name of your website?
Mine?
Name of your website.
Storyvine.com.
And I'm going to mimic what he said. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Make content that you like, that you're going to interact with. Appeal to those people. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Make the stuff you're into. That's it. If you're going to watch it, make video content about it. Lastly, I'll do my shameless plug too. I've done thousands of these trainings with all these same questions about Facebook Live. There's a lot of gray area. I created a mobile live starter kit that teaches you how to get started with your phone, all the way down to what equipment you should buy off of Amazon. You can find that on my website at dannycolella.com. I'll have cards up here if you want to grab it. It's a free download. It's about a 30-page document that tells you, should you worry about your upload speed? When should you go live? Where should you go live? It's a full detailed starter kit. So if anybody's out there and you're interested and you want to get just a little bit more knowledge, take my 3 years of being miserable on live video as a gift to you so that you can be worse for the least amount of time.
You'll just suck for a year.
All right. Awesome. Big hand for them, everyone. We have our summer party at the end of August next month. We're probably going to do that at the Beer Garden Skyline Park. So we don't have education planned. If you have ideas, hit me up. We're happy to accommodate. So that's it. I think everybody, we're going to hang out for a little bit. Feel free to come up here and talk.
Okay.
Happy video.
Do you have a card? Or can you write down? And then I want to talk to you. So I think I need to go to C2. I know Danny put what for me to go to.
So what was the promotion code?